new episode of Ms. Marvel. A lot, not slower. Yeah, I would say it's slower than last episode. Wouldn't you say? Yeah.
Yeah, there's not as much in it.
No, it's pretty slow. It's actually I think last episode kind of set the pace, and now this episode, I mean, it was still a lot of interactions, a lot of plot threads and stuff like that, but not nearly as much. And I think it was good that we actually got a focal point last season, like last episode. Like we actually got I would say the villains, but even though I don't think they're going to be the overall villains at the end, but we got like a.
You don't.
No, and I'll kind of talk about why in a little bit. But we got the idea of what the gauntlets. I mean, the gauntlets. What the Bengals are or is. Sorry, I'm already going ahead of myself. And we got pretty cool actions. We got some dancing, some wedding stuff. We also got pretty good action scenes. That I was actually surprised to see that level of action in this show, which was cool. But overall, I thought it was strong. What do you think about it, Mike?
I still think this is a really good show. I'm liking it a lot. I think it's one of their better shows.
I mean, as
far as like execution of the show goes,
really
well done.
Yeah,
pacing seems good.
Yeah.
I
mean, at this point, Disney knows what they're doing with these shows. I think that it's a stark difference between some of the other shows that had some issues, like Falcon and Winter Soldier. And even a little bit of Hawkeye versus this show. It feels like there are competent people on the helm. Didn't you say the showrunner from Loki is doing this?
Yeah.
Producer.
The showrunner from this was like doing story on Loki.
Yeah, well, you can. It definitely feels like the same level of competence I felt with Loki, 100%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we get a flashback to 1940 something. I think 43.
1942.
42. And the British Army has a war going on. Imagine being in the 40s where everything's just blowing up. You know, it must be terrible.
It's British occupied India. That's what they say.
And we get about 4 individuals looking for something very specific, and they find it. What did they find, Mike?
Well, they found a severed blue hand, and on that hand was a bangle.
Correct.
When I first saw that severed blue hand, it made me think of Shiva, which is like one of the Hindu gods. They have blue skin. So I don't know. Do you know like who that severed blue hand could be from?
No idea. There's a lot of blue creatures in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So no clue. But I thought it was interesting when they were talking that there are 2 bangles, but they only could find 1. Which is really starting to make me think about, like we said last episode, the quantum bands. I didn't say that last episode. I think I said that.
No, you talked. I think you talked about it. Yeah,
I can't remember. But the quantum bands, we talked about this, and the powers that this bangle has is very similar to the quantum bands. So, if I was thinking on the way here, I was walking home from work. I was thinking about this. If Marvel introduces this and says these are the quantum bands, and she has the quantum bands, I would be okay with it. I would be like, okay, I'm fine with that. And because their abilities are very similar, almost to the point where it's almost obvious that this is the quantum bands. But in the comics, the quantum bands have a yellow energy, and these have a blue energy. But we only have one, so if this one bangle has this much power, imagine what the other one has. And we're definitely going to see the second bangle at some point. Like that, either we're going to see it at the end of this season, or we're going to see it next season. I mean, or it's going to come up later. But the second, someone has the second bangle. Probably her great grandmother.
Great grandmother. Yeah,
we have no idea.
What I'm thinking.
We have no idea. But lots of cool storytelling elements. And I was correct from last episode. I said that wasn't her grandmother, and you said it was, and I was right. Haha.
Yeah, you were right. You were right. It was not her great grandmother.
Who's keeping score?
Like, at the beginning of this episode, the way they were like touching on all the things they told us about her great grandmother in the past, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be right. I'm gonna tell Jarvis I was right all along. And then all of a sudden they switch it, and it's her mother comes in to the frame and is talking to the other woman. What's her name?
I forget. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cast here. I don't really see her on the cast. So anyway,
but
who normally has those quantum bands though that you're talking about from the comics?
It's very interesting. They have an interesting history, Mike. I'm glad you brought that up. In the comics, the bands were originally found by some random dude. I think he has something to do with the Eternals. I'm not 100% sure. But they didn't know how the bands worked. And so the bands were extremely powerful, but I think at some point he actually killed himself. Because the bands work, like from my understanding of the bands, the energy works when you have a calmness to yourself. Like when you're able to use the bands, you're not aggressive, you're not being like evil, quote unquote. And then finally, when his name, he has a very funny name, but when the guy, what's his name? When Quasar originally got the bands, he almost blew himself up, but then he was able to just calm himself, and that's how he was able to survive. And so, only a few people have had the quantum bands. They do have a connection to, I believe, Ego. So I think that
Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yes, either Ego or his son. I'm not sure, but the point is that they are
Star-Lord.
No, it's not Star-Lord. But the point is the bands.
Oh yeah, his son isn't Star-Lord in the comics.
Yeah, in the comics is totally somebody else. I forget his name. But the point is the quantum bands. Whoever has them, they're a protector of the universe. So their job is to protect the universe from evil threats.
I gotcha.
So. But they've been changed in some ways, and the idea that these beings that are looking for the bangle from another dimension wouldn't be that far fetched. So let's just wait and see. I think I found it interesting, Mike, and we can talk more about this. When you look at not Shirochi. Oh my God, I've been playing too much Destiny 2. When you look at Shang-Chi, the villains in that, the monster from that was from a different dimension, and then you have these guys, they're from a different dimension, and both of them are from so when you look at the South Asia area, we have interdimensional beings causing some trouble. So I'm wondering if that's a theme that they're going to work with. But I thought that was interesting.
Right.
And then of course we have to talk at some point. What is a dimension? Is that is it a parallel universe? Is it a multiverse that we're talking about here?
Right. Yeah.
But anyway,
plane. Is it like the astral plane?
Yeah, I know.
The ancestral plane?
Yeah, at this point, I wouldn't mind. I'll be honest with you before we move on. I wouldn't mind someone doing an episode of a show or Marvel doing a quick YouTube video explaining the structure of the universe. Like this is how the MCU universe is set up. So when we're watching this stuff, we're not confused. I mean, it's always better to be abstract so you can do what you want. But I think at this point, with all the multiverse stuff coming up and with all the rumors of what they're going to do in the future, they need some kind of tutorial about. I mean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is huge now, so they need some kind of way to tighten.
Yeah, they should do that. They should get Miss Minutes from the Loki series to narrate it.
Man, that's good. That's
Jurassic
good
Park style.
I was going to say that they should get us to do it, but I guess
if they can't get us. Second best.
Yeah, it's true. We are very expensive. I mean, it would cost them.
Yeah, if they can afford us,
it costs maybe $20, $30.
Yeah.
So these guys have a name, and I knew as soon as they mentioned their name, I was going to be like, "Oh my God, I have to figure this out." But it's an easy explanation. They called them. They said they go by many names, but one of the names was the Clandestines.
Yes.
It is from the comics, but it's so obscure that I can't believe that they even mentioned it.
Okay.
It's so
Clandestines associated with genies.
No. So it's not. It's Clandestines. So it's the Clandestine, and the leader of the clan, the head of the clan, was named Adam Destined. So Clandestine, get it? Clandestine.
Got it. Yeah, great.
Yeah. No, they made a whole comic book series off of a cool name. Clandestine. That's it. But yeah, I remember seeing this a long time ago in a comic shop, and they have some ties to the X-Men, but I don't know enough about these guys to really talk more about them. But in the comics, the clan, they have a mother and father, and the mother is a Djinn, which they talked about at length in the show. So yeah, so
there's the tie-in, right? Mm-hmm. So they are. Yeah, at least some of them are Djinns.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing to wrap into this. Because to my knowledge, Miss Marvel had no connections to Djinns or the Clandestine. They had she had connections to the Inhumans. So I think they just don't want to bring in the Inhumans. They just don't want to deal with that. And so instead they're doing this. I'm very curious as to why they don't want to bring in the Inhumans. It makes sense to me to bring in the Inhumans here. It's a great way to do it. I wonder why they're just like, no. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Noor? So Noor means light.
Yes.
And I guess these people are they're from the Noor dimension. They can sense the presence of Noor.
Light energy, yeah.
In Kamala Khan. Yeah, the light energy. So like it's almost like the Force.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Noor a thing from the comics too?
Not that I know of. But there's lots of different when I'm thinking about energies and I'm thinking about how energy works, DC Comics has a very specific, very fascinating mythology according to energy levels and how energy works in their universe, but it doesn't apply to the Marvel universe. It's actually kind of crazy. They in DC Comics they attribute energy from the Big Bang, and like certain energy does certain things. Like the Green Lantern energy, I think it's called Starlight energy. DC fans, let me know. But you can just Google DC Comics Starlight energy, and you get a whole tutorial. Like they have it completely planned out how energy works in their universe. But in Marvel, they don't have that at all. So, so there's no like Noor dimension, Noor universe stuff that anything like that in the Marvel stuff. But they do have a lot of different totems and things that can do a lot of different cool stuff. And it's not odd in the comics for the Bengals to even exist.
Okay.
I think Djinn. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I think Djinn's pretty cool. I like the fact they brought that up, and it's very specific. Again, I mean, if you look at this episode, they like last episode was kind of getting people more into the idea that the show was going to talk a little bit about Islamic culture, but this episode was like, no, we're going to go full on, and like you just have to hang on to it because we're going to throw it out at you, and I'm hoping they do more of this. It's like because I think they're saying they might even go to Pakistan next episode, so it's going to be kind of cool to see what they do.
Right. God, what's the name of the place they're going to?
Karachi.
Karachi, yes. It was on the train. Okay. Anything else you want to tell us about the Djinns from the comics?
No, I mean, for fans who are like hoping for fans who are looking at the show and loving it and want to get the comics, you're going to see a lot of discrepancies. So, I mean, just got to kind of wait and see. I think Marvel does a good job of kind of consolidating. So they might do something later in the comics that kind of brings Ms. Marvel closer to the series. I don't know. We'll have to just wait. But
are there any well-known Djinns from the comics that we should know about?
No. There's lots of genies. But I mean, but it's like it's amorphous. So like in the Marvel universe, there's like tons of different like genies and spirits and goblins and stuff like that all over the place. And if you look at from a historical standpoint, every society except for like really new societies has a mythology that has like genies and spirits and demons, you know. And so if you ever want to take a history class or a mythology class and learn about international myths, they're super fascinating. Like, do you know that? Did you know there's a tiger werewolf? Like, and I think it's in India. So instead of like werewolves, they're like tigers, half man, half tiger.
Were-tiger.
Yeah, were-tiger. Is that what they call it? Sure, no.
I don't know.
No, it's kind of fast. It's kind of cool. And then of course, dragons and stuff are really neat. Real quick, as an aside,
multiple kinds of dragons.
Yeah, as an aside, I met someone once when I was at a church that told me that dragons exist because they're mentioned in the Bible.
Okay.
It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to absorb.
I don't know that I buy that argument. But
that's if you go to certain churches, they like the Bible says what it says. It's like okay, it's dragons. That's kind of neat. You know, nothing about dinosaurs, but it's definitely dragons. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
What else did you see from the episode, Mike?
We get a name drop for Dr. Eric Selvig. Where's he from?
He is from Thor.
That's right.
And Eric Selvig from one of the Thor movies that I didn't actually hate, Thor in the Dark World. Selvig actually does do a little tutorial about how the universe is set up in that movie.
Yeah,
so that's kind of cool.
That's true.
He didn't mention anything about dimensions or multiverses, but he did talk about the levels of our reality. So that was kind of neat. So Bruno said that he read a paper from Selvig. And shout out to smart kids. This guy's in high school and he's reading scientific papers by guys like Eric Selvig. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Right. Yeah, so he's reading a paper from Eric Selvig on how to help Kamala with getting these people into another dimension.
I mean, Mike, if a friend of yours showed up with that gauntlet and asked you for technical help to do it, like, what would you start? Would you just Google, like, I don't know, an Apple? Like, I don't know. Like, what do you even? I don't know.
I might go to Reddit. Like Reddit, what is this, like r/interdimensional travel?
Man, maybe? I would love to see the Marvel Cinematic Universe's version of Reddit. All these kids trying to get superpowers constantly, trying to do a bunch of different things because they see other people do it. They're like, man, I gotta find out superpower. That's supposed to be funny.
Something else we see in this show?
What's that?
We see a mask that Bruno gives to Kamala.
Yeah. Do you know what those masks are called?
I don't. My guess is it's just called a mask.
It's called a domino mask.
Is that just Kamala's mask? It's called a domino mask? Or
that style of mask. So a mask that goes over the eyes like that. It's called a domino mask.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Where did he get that name?
I have no idea.
Okay. I thought maybe the first superhero to wear a mask like that was called Domino.
There is a superhero named Domino in the comics, but that's not what happened.
Do they wear a domino mask?
No, she is not.
Ironic. Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, everybody's seen these masks a billion times. So it's kind of funny for people who watched Arrow on CW Arrow, the second season where he gets a mask like that, it was a really big deal. People flipped out for some odd reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Kind of fun.
Kind of like in Daredevil when he's like leveling up his suit.
Yeah.
The first series.
Yeah. That's true too. That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
All right. So when Kamala's dad goes into the convenience store that Bruno's working at, and he sees what he's working on, he starts reading some of the papers that Bruno has out about the Djinn. We learn that this group of Djinn that we're dealing with in here, kind of run by Najma, that's the name of the woman that's the leader of this group of Djinn. When he's reading those papers, we learn that they were exiled from the Noor dimension and are kind of operating in the shadows within our own world. Is there anything from the comics that you can help us out with there? No.
But, I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. There's a history in the Marvel comics and DC comics of exiled beings. The most famously is in Superman, where General Zog is exiled to the, what was the dimension called? The Phantom Zone. So there is a place called the Phantom Zone in DC Comics, and in Marvel Comics, there's something called the Negative Zone, which is I heard about these things in a Lego Batman movie. The Phantom Zone? Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Phantom Zone. Yeah. Oh, can't get away from it. Yes, there's a Phantom Zone. You know all about. You know more about the Phantom Zone than I do. So there you go. Please tell our listeners about that. Yeah, but like it's the whole thing with the Djinn and everything. That's a story that we've all heard before. So it's kind of fat. It's like from a storytelling element, it's easy to give readers or listeners or viewers something they've seen before. So the viewers can make up the mythology, and so the show writers can just keep moving the story. Like exiled bad guys or exiled people from a different dimension that's stuck on Earth, and you find a way home. We've seen that 1,000 zillion times. And you know what? It's so common that I think they might be lying. I think there might be something more complicated to that. This was like some ancient text that her dad was reading. Yeah, but that's the same story that we believe ancient texts. Yeah, but that's the same thing that that's the same thing that the Djinn said too. And I kind of feel like there's something more complicated than just that. I was wondering if you knew maybe why they were exiled. I don't know. Probably killed somebody or something. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they were too dangerous. Apparently, yeah. I think they might. So, okay. in the episode, we get the wedding, which was really fun, by the way, and then we get
it was good.
Kamala has to pull the fire alarm. She gets into a fight, and shout out to the stunt staff and everybody because they make this is how a 16-year-old would have to deal with a bunch of people who are trained killers,
Yeah, right.
And they're 100 years old, and she's like barely surviving this. And without the gauntlet, I gotta quit saying that. Without the bangle, she definitely wouldn't have. So I thought it was pretty impressive to see her just have to deal with this in a really interesting way. I mean, it's just kind of terrifying. I told you I lost my train of thought. I had a point.
You're talking about the action scenes.
Yeah.
About Kamala pulling the fire alarm.
Yeah, I totally forgot what it was. Oh, so my theory is, and I don't like to do theories, but here's my theory, that damage control
theories are good.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll play with it.
There's nothing wrong if it turns out to not be right. It's just fun to theorize.
Damage control has the Djinns currently, correct? And her future boyfriend or her love interest or whatever, her son, whatever, right? They're all captured, right?
Kamran.
Yeah, Kamran. So here's my thinking here. Kamala is not the kind of person who would just let them be captured and she's fine. I think that the real villains is going to be damage control. And I think that Kamala is going to get those people out of there. Because it just makes a lot more sense to me. Because they're captured too early. Damage control is probably going to not torture them, but they're going to probably experiment with them or who knows what. And to keep into the show's theme, it's like historically we have seen people being abused and being abused and hurt because of the government's malfeasance. And so I think that the Djinn aren't villains. I think that damage control is going to be the villains in this regard. And we have how many episodes we have left? 3.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's how it's going. That's how it's going to work. How it's going to happen. Because I feel like damage control is just being too, villainy. I'm like that's just kind of being like, we're damage control. We're here. And I want to bring up another point to that, but I want to know what you think about what I just said.
I don't know about that. I have a feeling that the Djinns are probably going to bust out pretty easily all by themselves.
Nah. I disagree.
Maybe Kamala pairs up with damage control to take down these Djinn.
That's nobody wants her to do that with damage control. Nobody wants her to hang out with the cops. I don't want to hang out. I don't want to help the cops do anything. Hey, I'm going to help the cops. Like nobody wants that. Like nobody's interested in that story. But I am interested in Kamala. Kamala, I gotta stick to one. I'm interested in her helping them out, even though she didn't have to.
Help me out here. Just so I'm not crazy. Our vice president's name is pronounced a different way from this character's name in the show, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not
Kamala
crazy.
and Kamala. Yes. Tomatoes.
Because I keep wanting to mispronounce Kamala Khan's name because of.
Let's keep doing the best we can and apologize when we mess up.
Okay.
So this is a nice little segue here. We don't know the legal structure of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We do know that the Sokovia Accords were signed during Captain America: Civil War. We know that. But there's been no updates. There's been a little bit of updates during Spider-Man No Way Home. When he gets arrested, there was some discussion about, him being Spider-Man and stuff like that. But he never got arrested. I don't know what the legal ability you have to be a superhero is in this world. Like, can you just put on a mask and go save people? But apparently you can't because damage control is trying to find Kamala. So
remind me, what were the Sokovia Accords? What was the agreement there?
Basically, if you're a superhuman being, if you're an enhanced individual, then you have to register with the government in order to, and then they can ask you to assist matters. But basically, and this applies specifically to the Avengers because they were superpowered beings. But what legal right does damage control have to chase her and try to find her and keep her? Is it illegal to do what
do they want to keep her?
I don't know. Well, I mean, they chased her with drones. You know, like it doesn't look like they were trying to catch her and then talk to her and be friendly with her. It didn't look. It doesn't sound that way. It sounds like
were the drones doing anything bad? I don't remember. They weren't shooting at her, were they?
Do you think that that damage control has Kamala's best interest at heart? Like, I just don't think so.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe they're. I don't know.
But they need to.
You seem more set on them being the villain for the story than I am. But
very much. But they need.
Are they villains in the comics?
No, they're kind of a joke in the comics. It's like the damage control was a joke. It was a joke comic at the time, and it's still kind of a joke. But the point is, here's my point. I want to know the legal status of what I need to know the legal architecture of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Can I dress up in a costume and go fight crime, or will I get arrested? And so I guess sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. It sounds very arbitrary to me. I mean,
so she's a new superhero. And that's why you're kind of concerned about this, right?
Well, I'm not concerned. I'm interested.
Well, you're wondering about this.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, these are all fake characters. It doesn't matter. But I want to know, like, is this going to apply to Daredevil? Was there people trying to find him?
What about America Chavez?
Is she practicing superheroism right now? Is she out there in the world actually fighting crime?
She definitely did.
No, she was. No, not really. She was in our universe, and now she's hanging out with Doctor Strange. That's another great question. Why is it damage control going after Doctor Strange?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Please answer the question.
They didn't show up in there. They didn't show up.
So why are they trying to find
Chavez?
So is it just racism that they're trying to find?
Could be because they're brown.
Yeah, it could be. They need
to go after Brown Jovi while they're at it.
What a great name!
Yeah.
There needs to be some explanation to this because at the end of the day, we need to know exactly. Like, we can't just have a abstract legal system going after a young girl. We need to know why they're doing it. And is damage control going to keep doing this, or do they only do it when they feel like it? We don't know.
I'm just going back to the first post-credits scene where he said, "All right, bring her in." Mm-hmm. It didn't seem they it just seemed like they wanted to talk to her, interrogate her, find out what's up, maybe register her. It didn't seem that nefarious at that point.
Would you feel okay with getting dragged in forcefully and then being registered? I wouldn't feel good about that.
No, I wouldn't. But does that mean they're the big bad of the series? I don't know.
Well, it's interesting.
I don't see that yet.
It sounds like, Mike, that if you look at the history of Marvel Comics, there's always been a registration act. Either it's been the Mutant Registration Act or the Superhuman Registration Act. In the comics, the Superhuman Registration Act is what started the Civil War saga, right? And so it sounds like you're on the side of Iron Man and Mr. Fantastic. So hey, you should go,
absolutely
sign up with the cops and and register and become a superhero. It's what's the problem? What's the wrong with it?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't see them.
That's what it sounds like.
We're going to find out next episode. I think who the big bad is. But
I already know.
So far, damage control doesn't strike me as the big bad of this episode. What are they going to do? Send some drones after you?
That's a good question.
They don't seem to have a whole lot of powers at this point.
But that's a good question. There is the raft. We've seen that we saw that in Captain America's Civil War. We also saw that in Falcon and Winter Soldier, that's where Baron Zemo is currently. So there is a prison for superhuman beings. So and I don't remember in Captain America Civil War, did they get a trial? Or did they just get stuck in there like Guantanamo? I don't know, Mike.
I think it's more of a Guantanamo situation.
Yeah, if I was a superhero in this universe, I would have some serious questions about my legal rights.
Yeah.
My legal rights to help people. Are you? And this is a good question.
Yeah, right.
Am I allowed to walk around the streets of a city and help people in need?
Mm-hmm. Can I save a kid from falling from a minaret?
Yeah, can you? I don't know. Right. Listeners, if you're a lawyer, please chime in. Email us, text us, Send us something on Twitter. Let us know. I'm very curious about this. Anyway, that's all I got for this episode. I thought that the fight scenes were cool. I think that there's too much pressure on Kamala right now from her parents and her brother and her sister-in-law. Like, everybody's kind of like down on her, and like if my sister had a bangle, or if my sister seemed like she was in some kind of trouble, I would try to help. And I wouldn't just be like, "What are you doing? What's wrong?" And then when Kamala doesn't answer or says nothing, people just walk off. I'm like, no. Like, I don't know.
There is a little bit of that.
I don't know what's wrong with you right now, but you're not leaving.
Just doesn't.
Yeah.
The writing doesn't on that front. Like the interactions with their parents don't ring true to me. But that's a niggle.
Yeah. A what?
Yeah.
What'd you say it was? A nibble?
A niggle? Is that a word?
A nickel? A nickel?
Niggle. Niggle.
What is that?
Is it like?
I've never.
I hope that's a word.
I don't think
like nitpick, like nitpicking.
I've heard of nitpick. Niggling? I've never heard of
niggling. Is not a word.
No. I
really hope that I'm not saying something bad right now.
I don't think it's offensive, but it sounds terrible.
It does sound bad. It's got to be a word.
Let's just not say it anymore.
The only word that came to my mind.
It's a plot problem. Yeah.
It's not that bad though.
What, the word you just said, or the actual stuff from the show?
No, I mean it's like okay, yeah. Niggle. Niggle cause slight but persistent annoyance, discomfort, or anxiety.
How you spell it?
Niggle.
I'm never saying that in public. Like.
Yeah, I shouldn't say it in public either, but it was the first word that came to my mind.
Weird word.
It's not a big thing. It's just causes a slight annoyance to me. Yeah. The interactions with her parents.
I will say this.
Like I would definitely be in her business more than her parents seem to be in this episode.
Yeah. And like her hiding her sleeve constantly is getting a little old. Like I'd be like, why are you hiding your arm? Why are you hiding your arm?
You got a tattoo under there or something? What's going on?
Lift up. Let's see it. I will say this. This show felt better to me and was more interesting to watch when some of the teen drama wasn't there. But if the teen drama is something that is getting people, if people enjoy the teen drama, keep it going. Because I'm going to watch it anyway. But the teen drama was
my son likes less of that teen drama because it makes him cringe. So he liked this episode better. Yeah.
Just good.
You got any news we can abuse?
I do. I have two pieces of news you can abuse. The first one, and this sounds so weird to me, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, you can watch it right now on Disney+. Didn't that just come out?
Seems like it.
When did it come out? April?
May?
It's just like, it's super quick. And we have two great podcasts talking about the Marvel Multiverse of Madness. Please listen to both. No, watch the movie first, then listen to both episodes. But I was kind of stunned. And I was starting to think, do I want to watch this again? I kind of do. I think I will watch it again. I might watch it tonight, actually. But it's just kind of like a treat to me. It's like imagine if you've never seen any of these Marvel stuff. You haven't seen the series. You've never seen any Marvel movies. And then all of a sudden, someone's like, here's my Disney Plus account. You can watch all of it. I'm like,
how long would that take you? Oh my God, that's so much stuff.
If you watched one movie a week, you would get it done in 20-some weeks.
Yeah.
So that's half a year. Plus the series and everything else. So it's about a year's worth of
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, man.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, Disney Plus, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, watch it now. Also, Kevin Feige, how you say his name?
Feige?
Kevin Feige has said that there's going to be some MCU Phase 5 news coming up soon. So we're going to get more of what I've wanted, which is a plan. But, Mike, I think, and this is a thing, everybody thinks that the Secret Wars is going to be what the next big saga is going to be about.
I noticed the word secret is in quotes in this article that you shared. Yeah.
And I didn't know this, but in 2015, there's been 2 Secret Wars comic series. There's one in the 80s that I know pretty well, where a being called the Beyonder steals heroes and villains from Earth and forces them to fight. It was a whole thing. And then in 2015, there was a Secret Wars that involved the multiverse. And so I think it's going to be a mixture of both of these. I wouldn't be surprised if the Beyonder is going to be in this new thing. I think that might happen. But if you look at Ms. Marvel and talk about dimensions, all the multiverse stuff with Loki and stuff like that, it feels like they're more on track than I initially thought. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I like the idea of a multiverse. It's like war or something like that. And I like the idea that all these series have been kind of built into it. Even if you look at Moon Knight and this idea that there's like a parallel plane of existence with like Egyptian gods, like all that kind of stuff put out. And then you got Thor, Love and Thunder.
Now we got the Nora dimension.
Yeah. So you put all this stuff together and it's really interesting. So we'll just have to wait. But I feel a little more confident in the going forwards than I did before.
Cool. That's it, man.
Yeah, that's it. So, Mike, you sit at home, you're listening to this podcast, and you think, man, this is great. What should you do next? What's the obvious next thing you should do?
If you're not already subscribed, subscribe. If you're not already following us, follow us. And regardless of whether you're already following us or subscribed, hit that share button and share this with your friends.
Yes. Friends.
Let them know. Spread the word. Word of mouth.
And people you don't like. Send it to them too. Especially people you don't like. Send them all of our podcasts. Make them listen to it. Make them hate it. Everybody knows people who watches Marvel movies or likes them. I'm sure you have some young nephews or nieces or
you've got a coworker
cousins
that wears a Captain America t-shirt.
Yeah.
Send it to him.
There's nothing wrong with be like, hey man, I heard this new podcast. You should listen to it. And just like, have him search it on his phone immediately. And then there you go. I mean, think about Mike.
Maybe they'll be your new work best friend.
You can, in a matter of seconds, pick up this weird pocket computer, type in a few things, and then listen to us like within like 10 seconds. That's amazing. That's technology on a level that
is here.
We could cure cancer, but instead we do this. Yeah. That's pretty depressing.
What are we doing next, though? What are we doing next?
Next episode, I think. Right?
Yeah, more Miss Marvel.
More Miss Marvel next week.
More Miss Marvel next week.
Tune in. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Same Nor time.
Same Nor time. Channel. Same Clandestine time.
Oh no! Please don't do another pun with Clandestine.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.